Chapter 4, Part 8. Sheikh Husamuddin was originally a young man who showed great respect and humility towards Shamsuddin, to whom he rendered services of every kind. One day, Shams said to him, Shams is the word for the sun, but this guy's name. Husam, this is not the way. Religion is a question of money. Give me some coin and offer your services to the Lord. So peradventure thou mayest rise in our order. Husam at once went forth to his own house, collected all his own valuables and money, with his wife's jewels and all the provisions of the house, brought them to Shams and laid them at his feet. He furthermore sold a vineyard and country seat he possessed, bringing their price also to the teacher, and thanking him for having taught him a duty, as for having deigned to accept so insignificant a trifle from his hand. Yes, Husam, said Shams, is it be hoped that with God's grace and the prayers of the saints, thou wilt henceforth attain to such a station as to be the envy of the most perfect men of God. And he bowed down to by the brethren of sincerity. It is true that God's saints are not in want of anything, being independent of both worlds. But at the outset, there is no other way to test the sincerity of one we love and the affection of a friend than to call upon him to sacrifice worldly possessions. The next step is to summon him to give up all that is not his God. No disciple who wishes to rise has ever made progress by following his own devices. An advancement is earned by rendering service and by spending in God's cause. Not just in God's name, but in God's cause. So, God has set forth the terms. Every pupil who sacrifices possessions at the call of his teacher would also lay down his life if needs were. No lover of God can retain both mammon and religion. Now, I don't know what they would say, because I kind of question whether they would use the reference mammon like it. But, this is the translator. Shams then restored to Husam the whole of his goods, giving back only one piece of silver. 9 times as much more did he bestow upon Husam from first to last. And as the results of all things are in God's hands, so did Husam at length become the ruler of God's saints. And Jalal made him the keeper of God's treasury. He it was who wrote down 24,660 couplets contained in the 6 books of the Mesnevi. And one of the things about some of that is that, some Sufi orders, they test you in different ways. Now, I think the one, when I joined the Shadliya, they didn't understand that not everybody was, able to do what was asked, like offering, twice or 3 times what the Eid sacrifice is upon joining. The sort of obligation, as far as what the American terms is. So I'm not sure that this guy understood that this wasn't something that people could afford. Now, I guess the average person might spend several $100s a month, at that time, on what they don't need. So that's where some of that could have came from. But, what was actually required. Now, I was willing to give, the couple bills I had left in my wallet to charity, but,